This man has never knocked nobody out cold. He's a bully. He's slow. He has no skill, no footwork. He's awkward. And I have been giving him a name. Because he fights. When he's fighting, if you ever watch him in the ring, he drags like that after his opponent. and how's the mummy gonna catch me?
And all I had to do was to go out and beat a man who had no skill, no class. Seriously, the man had no skill. I don't know why the world is so foolish to believe in him and think that I wasn't going to win.
Well, when you say you're ready to go to war right now...
I see that bear on the street, I beat him before the fight.
You'd actually take him on before the fight?
Beat him like I'm his daddy.
Basketball players out there, football players, they want to beat so bad, they want to get everybody. I'll go to Mars, I don't care.
For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, let's get ready to rumble!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lights Out Debates. Do we have a catchphrase?
Oh, God. You tell me.
Where we don't have a catchphrase as of yet.
Okay, if we don't have one now, I promise tomorrow I'll have one. Swear. Okay.
You have a background when I'm talking. I can hear myself talk on your side.
Oh.
I'm not sure what it is. What it says, the catchphrase is catchphrase.
For now.
Yeah. Are you just muting yourself when I'm talking, or no? Because I can hear it. Yeah.
I don't know what is it. Like, it's just, I'm not sure why you would hear yourself.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Yeah, if whenever I'm doing my side, if you could just, I guess, mute yourself, that way we could hear the argument. But yeah, today we're going to be debating Michael Jordan versus LeBron James. Who's greater? And Travis, you went second last time, so it's your turn to go first. So do you have any so I want to say first off, I believe that this debate, it's a contentious debate. I think that really the biggest argument to have LeBron James as being a greater basketball player over Michael Jordan is really just the total accumulation over his career of certain things, and not particularly the entirety or the impact of the time that he spent in there, but just the accumulation of picking things up over time. So in comparison, I think that Michael Jordan is, how I view greatness and how I define greatness, as a far more capable candidate for being greater than LeBron James. What do you have to say?
And I feel like, I mean, obviously everyone knows both sides of the argument. You know, it's typically like Lard said, it's a what they consider peak versus, you know, longevity, or what they say is, you know, what they try to define as longevity or the accumulation of stats. But I think it's much more nuanced than that, and I think LeBron has a far better argument than just accumulation. I mean, it's part of it, true, but I think he has a far better argument than just that, and highlight those.
All right. I'm going to pull the clock up on stage. Are you ready to start the debate?
I am ready to start it, And yeah, I can go right now.
All right, I'll give the prep and let's get it on.
All right. So
there's a 10-second.
Oh, sorry.
countdown.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
3, 2, 1.
All right, guys. So, like we talked about in the beginning, this, no matter where you fall on this side of the debate, it's really just about, what your criteria is. It's always been like that, right? How do you find greatness? How do you rank players overall? Everyone has a different criteria. No one's all the same. Our job today is obviously to convince you, the judges, or just people watching, what you think, who has a better argument, and maybe alter your view on how these players are ranked all the time, okay? And how, most importantly, how you do it. So for LeBron, because I think he has the most impressive resume of all time, especially if you consider the width and breadth of his career, okay? So if we're just doing straight up compared to Mike, right? He clears Mike on many fronts, but really his overall case relies on marrying true longevity with unheard of consistency, okay? And we're going to be kind of looking at those two words in some detail today: longevity and consistency. This is what separates LeBron not only from Michael Jordan, but really from the rest of any and all-time greats as a whole, okay? Mike's just a part of the puzzle, and really that's why LeBron has a better case than Michael Jordan. But let's go over a few basic stats, right? Like, we know he's overall more efficient than Mike. We know he, beats him in assists, rebound, things like that. Those are just basic things you all know, okay? But LeBron, he does boast the most All-NBA selections of all time with 21, okay? Easily the most first-team selections with 13, okay? Most All-Star selections with 20. He's first all-time in most playoff wins of all time. Most all-time in points. Fourth all-time in assists, okay? He's the only non-point guard, okay, in the top 10 of that category, which is insane. Okay? He's sixth all-time in steals. He's number one all-time in playoff points, second in playoff assists, first in steals. Okay? He's just the second player in league history to be top 5 in at least 3 of the 5 major statistical categories in both the regular and postseason, along with Kareem. Now, a lot of the players, and I'm sure that what my opponent will emphasize today is that, hey, this is only a result of longevity. He played a long time. These are things to be expected, okay? But there have been 11 players who've played at least 20 or more seasons in NBA history, okay? Of these, only Kareem and LeBron come anywhere close to matching the stats and numbers I just gave you, okay? You have guys like Vince Carter, Chris Paul. You guys have like Kevin Garnett. All these players who don't come anywhere near matching the statistical and consistent production that LeBron James has shown you, okay? It's more than just about playing a long time. It's about what you do on the court during that time.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah, you talk about the consistency and the breadth and the depth of his career. The thing is that he has been one of the best players throughout his entire time with certain titles that he can achieve, but he was not the most dominant during his time and space. In comparison to Michael Jordan, it's not even close. It's really, there's not a consistent level of dominance, meaning to be commanding, controlling or prevailing over all others. And yeah, he got these All-NBAs and All-Stars, and he hung around. I'm not saying that he would or Michael Jordan would have or wouldn't have, but he retired wittingly twice and then came back with that same capability that after he retired, especially after the first one, it's a completely different subject. So I just want to say greatness is defined as the ability, quality, or eminence considered above the normal or average. And that's how I'm going to frame my argument. So he's more dominant, as I've described the meaning. And they didn't play each other. They played different positions. And it's not about who'd win on a one-on-one basketball time machine. But I got to say that his ability is greater than LeBron James, meaning the talent, skill, or proficiency in a particular area. And it's centered around his individual playing statistical output. Even for career-high single-game records, Jordan had higher points, 69-61, steals 10-7, and blocks 6-5. This is even with the position disparity that they played in the different eras and pace, affecting the rebounds, and they had similar rebounds on top of it. addition, with scoring, Jordan scored 50 points in a game versus LeBron's 14 within 7 less seasons. He won 10 league scoring titles, 3 steals titles, showing his dominance across the league and his capability to do so, to accumulate these stats. LeBron only won 1 scoring title, 1 assist title, showing that he just didn't have that statistical dominance against his contemporaries. And then for best regular season stats, Jordan outperformed LeBron in 3 out of the 5 major statistical categories. The most notable difference with the points of 37.1 to 31.4. He also outperformed in 3 out of 5 in their best per game playoff stats, most notably being points per game with 43.7 to 35, LeBron's 35.3. And then this is just as a note, LeBron had played 7 more seasons for all of these titles, all of these stats. He had the ability, or he had the opportunity, to surpass a lot of these, and he didn't. He wasn't able to showcase his dominance. Also, Jordan had similar field goal percentage and 3-point percentage to LeBron, but his free throws are nearly 9% better in percentage. He also proved to play 3 positions. And when he was playing point guard, he even accumulated better stats than LeBron James did in comparison.
Okay, and like I said, as it's really just going to be about things like that you heard right now, like how many points did Michael Jordan score, how many, compared to his contemporaries, is what they like to say, and it's really just not about the overall production and how in greatness, how you are. It's especially when you don't use context, like how Mike was leading in field goal attempts and shot attempts overall, and per game, like compared to his contemporaries, right? He was taking on average about 3 to 4 more than his closest contemporary in most seasons, including especially in 87, 88, all these, like where he's winning scoring titles. He's leading the league in shot attempts per game, overall shot attempts, and really in efficiency. Obviously, he was efficient, but if you're just going to use things like stats with just pure point totals with no context, it becomes a sticky substance, or a very sticky kind of a road there, to especially when you're trying to compare them heads up. LeBron didn't need to. He passed Michael Jordan in overall points with over, I believe, 1,100 fewer shot attempts. Okay, and again, he was better from Michael Jordan in almost every area of the court outside of mid-range, better from three-point range. He was a better finisher. But all that's besides the point. What we're doing is really highlighting LeBron's greatness compared to not just Michael Jordan, but all of his contemporaries, not just in his own realm or his own era, but all time, which is really the true definition of greatness when you think about it. Okay? When you're not limited to just 3 or 4 players in your era or time, right? It's all about how you stack up against the greats. That's how we rank players. Okay, so all this is due to LeBron's consistent dominance. Okay. He's 3rd all-time in PER, 2nd in win shares, 9th in win shares per 48, 3rd all-time in box plus minus. Sure, he's behind Michael Jordan in some of these, but you got to remember he's also played 11 full more seasons than Michael Jordan, and he really hasn't slipped in any of these metrics. Okay, the longer you play, the more these metrics are expected to go down. Hasn't happened with LeBron. Okay, he has a higher defensive box plus minus in the playoffs than Michael Jordan, despite having played over 100 more playoff games. Okay, what's the main argument for Michael Jordan overall over LeBron? Well, pretty much the entire debate, we've heard things like it's peak over longevity. Okay, but is this the case? Typically, most Jordan supporters use the 5-year argument. Okay, and they can't really use a 10-year argument since Jordan didn't play 10 straight years. Okay, so from 89 to 93, that's usually the years that they try to prove that Mike's offensive and overall superiority. Let's take a closer look. Okay, from 89 to 93, Jordan won 2 MVPs. Was elected first-team All-NBA and first-team All-NBA defense every year. In comparison, LeBron from 2009 to 2013 was also elected. And we'll go over that.
So I'm confused. You're bringing up other people's arguments with this 5-year thing. I'm not using a 5-year argument. And you're talking about the impact and how he was able to bring this. I'm going to describe the impact that he had in this round. Also, he was able to shoot field goals more, and I'll describe the results and the quality that it brought to him. They let him shoot more because it worked, very much more so than LeBron in comparison. And then for the points, that's irrelevant. He shot more 3-point shots. It's just the time, different era. That's how it happened. That's why the totals are a little skewed. And this is a direct comparison. This is a who's greater debate. And frankly, I think Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time, even more so. I want to describe something later on, too, about just how much more powerful and potent for more than half of Michael Jordan's career, just how much more he was able to do versus LeBron James per season. But I want to talk about how Jordan was a better quality player, degree to which an object or entity satisfies a specific set of attributes or requirements. And I already talked about a lot of the numbers associated with this. Michael Jordan had a better regular season win percentage, was 65.9 to 64.6%. Jordan's playoff win percentage was better, 66.5 to 63. And then he had 6 total championships versus James's 4. He was also undefeated in NBA Finals appearances, which is evidence of his ability to win in pressure situations. LeBron had 10 total appearances, but he only won 4. He lost 6. So you can argue that shows evidence that he was unable to do it in winning time. And then also 6 out of the 10 scoring titles I mentioned with Michael Jordan, he won with an NBA championship from 91, 93, 96, 98. And he also won a steal title during that time in 93. LeBron won in his 2020 championship. He had his assist title, which was 1 out of the 4 times that he won a championship, that he coupled it with his individual dominance. And then you could talk about their advanced analytics. Jordan outperforms LeBron James in regular season and playoffs with win shares for 48, blocks plus minus, and PER. And then Jordan led the league more times in PER, 7-6, 9 times in win shares to LeBron's 5, 8 times in win shares in 48 to LeBron's 5, 9 times in box plus minus to LeBron's 7. And this is all in 7 less total seasons. It's all similar for the playoffs as well. So he holds the highest margins of all time as well in respect to the PER, win shares per 48, offensive box plus minus, and box plus minus in the playoffs. So that's evidence enough with tangible access to show how he's a better quality player than LeBron James.
All right. So like I was saying in the other round there, and you heard it again, we're talking about just really a short period of time as far as Michael Jordan goes as compared to LeBron James. But again, like I was saying, although during the best 5-year peak of Jordan's career, 89 to 93, LeBron James was actually better. Again, he actually won 4 MVPs from 2009 to 2013 in a 5-year span. And during that time, he was also better than Mike analytically. And in fact, he was historic, beating him out in overall PER, win shares for 48, and box plus minus. And as we also know that Jordan never played 10 consecutive years. And so when you're looking at this, it's up to you as an observer to decide which is greater. Okay. And obviously you saw that, Mike's argument is how he produced during that short period of time. Obviously we heard about the ring count, and, LeBron James he checks all the boxes. He's again, top 4 in MVP, DPO or MVPs, finals MVPs. We already talked about how he is the most consistent player of all time with the most All NBA selections. Again, he has the 5 first team All selections. He has the most All-Star selections in NBA history. He has been performing at a 5 to 10 level in the league for his entire career. Okay? We saw Jordan start to fall off really after the 98 season, or during the 98 season, when his numbers were drastically, or as far as efficiency goes. And obviously we're not talking about his Wizards years, right? So LeBron has been the most consistent player, more consistent than Michael Jordan, as far as he doesn't have, obviously, the amount of accolades in some areas that he clears them in others. But if you're talking about just the most consistent player and the best player in history, no one really touches LeBron James, especially when it comes to production, sustained greatness, and again, just an overall winning. If we're talking about it, we already talked about again how he dominated his era like no others in terms of again playoff appearances, playoff victories, finals appearances, things like that. Okay, and when we're talking about also that, when you're talking about just the ring count, and we're not really getting into the who have the more help argument, although Jordan is the only player in league history to have a player or a fellow player finish top 10 in MVP and DPOY voting at least 4 separate times during a title run, that was Scottie Pippen. Nobody else has had that. So in basically in summation, LeBron James is, and we can't understate this enough, the most consistent and basically most productive player in NBA history. I think that clears anyone's overall resume, especially when you're talking about what the goal is to play the game at a high level for as long as possible. LeBron James really clears everything. I don't think it's even close.
All right, you said the most productive, but to what result? It wasn't as much as Michael Jordan, and the goal isn't to be productive; it's to win. You keep using this. You use the 5-year argument. Evidence I brought up was over a career. Michael's a top 5 individual dominance player, championships won as a leader, and with the eminence to include the awards, accolades, and then just the icon outside of it. I think he's number 1 for eminence. And then for the Wizards, you said that he was retired for multiple years. It was actually the second time he retired. And then we're not talking about who's better. We're talking who's greater. But I just want to put this. MJ had 6 seasons significantly more accomplished than LeBron James ever did. And he matched LeBron James' best season ever as well in respect to the awards, titles, and championships that he's won. In 88, 96, and 98, MJ won either an All-Star MVP, an MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, scoring title, steals title, championship, a Finals MVP, or first team all defense, or first team all NBA, or all-star during all these seasons. And for those, he did it 8 times of those individual awards. 7 of an additional of the 3 times overall. So he the additional 3 times he won 7 of these from 91 to 93. And then he tied LeBron's accomplishment of winning 6 of these in the same season, where LeBron did it twice. Michael Jordan did it once as well. So that, to me, really just closes the case. It was just so much. And that was for the majority of his career. He was consistently dominant, more so than everybody else, and it's not even close. So Jordan is more eminent, and this just describes it as well, than LeBron James. Eminence meaning a position of prominence or superiority, and it applies to Jordan with his on-court awards, reputation, and contributions. So Jordan was awarded first-team All-NBA 10 out of his 15 seasons, and this is to show his consistent dominance over his career. LeBron did it 13 out of 22 times in respect to All-NBA first teams. For all defense first teams, Jordan was all defense 9 out of 15 seasons, so LeBron's 5 out of 22. LeBron only had 6 all defenses his entire career as well. And the first team award shows the most dominant players in the league on a team capacity. Jordan won 5 MVPs in total compared to LeBron's 4. Jordan won 6 finals MVPs to LeBron's 4. And then on top of this, 4 of Jordan's years, he won the MVP. He won the NBA championship as well. LeBron did it twice in comparison. Michael Jordan also had 2 three-peats, which is a rare feat that's been done in the NBA. LeBron James went back-to-back once in his entire career. This also was done with Michael Jordan's famed retirement, and arguably the greatest sports comeback of all time, with the results that followed. He's greater than LeBron James. Yeah, I thought it was a good debate. How do you think? What do you have to say to close?
I don't think that was my best debate, just because when we're talking about LeBron versus Michael Jordan, it's tough because I think that Mike has the most balanced resume of all time. I've said this, and when you're talking about LeBron, you have to get the trick is you have to get people to think alongside, in terms have to abandon, because they're usually going to fall on one side of the debate or the other when they're coming in here. They're not going to be I have an open mind, and it's really tough to say, you know what, being great for a longer sustained period of time beats 2 extra MVPs and 3 more all defensive selections, things like that, and obviously LeBron does have the I think he does. He's more he's consistently better, or not even better, but just greater as far as high level of play sustained throughout the league. And it's really tough. like I said, I don't really. The only thing I think that it's really just him being at a higher level than Jordan for essentially double his time. That's really what I hang my hat on when I think about those two. But it's tough.
Yeah, when I think of greatness, I think it's attached to results. I think it's a results-based kind of thing. I don't think it's a production-based kind of attribute or definition. I think it's about what does it come down to, period. So the production aspect of LeBron James is great, and it's just not greater than like in totality, he's just not greater than Michael Jordan. I think his dominance across virtually his entire career in one way or another, in some capacity, I really don't think it's close. It's like in comparison to everyone else, it's close in respect to all time. He is one of the greatest players of all time. I just think Michael Jordan far and away for everything he's done in his career on and off the court, being the most iconic player of all time as well. I think I think it's just too much. If you think that LeBron's a better player, I mean, I don't, you could say he's a more versatile player due to his size and how he plays in general. And then I brought up the argument in contrast as when production stat wise, about how Michael Jordan played point guard and averaged a triple double. But it, you know what I mean? Like, they're both great players. So,
yeah. I mean, it's with Mike. Mike has the resume is overwhelming. I mean, like I've never really paid much heed to scoring titles, especially because I think there's a lot of context, like when you're talking about just yearly titles in general. But like he's one of the only guys to have that kind of production, but also he's relatively efficient too. As far as stacking up, especially to guards. And like obviously the advanced analytics are there too, and it's really just that's why I try to come at it with the the peak thing, and I knew you probably weren't going to go there, but yeah, the peak thing is something I hear all the time, and I think that you could make an argument that LeBron had a better 5-year peak and 10-year peak, obviously, but when you talk about just like voted on awards and things like that, and overall statistical titles, it's tough to put anyone above LeBron or above Mike rather, because it's like you said, it's especially compared to his peers, no one was coming for that. I mean, no one was shooting like 24 times a game, but he had to do what he had to do. I mean, he was winning titles while doing it, and so that's part of the equation. And I don't think anyone's ever going to downplay winning. But I mean, I don't personally use ring count when players, but Mike also has the 6 Finals MVPs. So to me, it's like it's a tough argument. It's really tough just because the only thing, like the main thing I think LeBron has is, like I said, it's like when you double someone's productivity, not like if you can consistently say, hey, Mike played 11 prime years, great, accomplished all this stuff, but then someone else has done it for double that time, and the numbers haven't dipped. It's tough. Like, because to me that's unheard of greatness. Even if it's not accompanying like with a championship every year, it's just, especially if you're just comparing them heads up. It's like, what player would you rather have? It's really tough.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm starting an all-time draft, I'm picking Michael over LeBron. I mean, I wouldn't be mad getting LeBron if I landed high enough to get LeBron, but I would pick Michael. And I mean, I think that Michael, unless it depends on how you're measuring it. This 5-year period, are you talking about the seasons, or are you trying to like sneak around the retirement years, the year and a half that he didn't play?
He didn't play.
So if you're using that, well, he didn't play, I think it's even more impressive, because then I think his some of his 3-year runs are greater than LeBron's 5. Even the 96 to 98 run, he's won an MVP, All-Star MVP, Finals MVP, scoring titles, All-NBA first team, All-NBA first team defense, All-Star, and then even the first three-peat. And I know you can even stretch the 1988 season to 1993. I mean, that's not 5, it's 6 years, but still, the point of it is that that's a fantastic run as well. So LeBron has, like you had said, production. If you look on paper, yeah, he's got whatever 25 points per game, 7 and 7, or whatever his career averages are, and that's fantastic in its own right. It's great in its own way. I just don't think, in my assessment, that is significantly less valuable than a lot more results. Those stats attached to results. So what are they attached to? Sometimes, he's got the most All NBAs of all time. He's got the most All Stars. So they get to, or I think he's got the most All Stars, but they get to that point where it is attached to that. But what else is it attached to, like, holistically throughout his career? Michael Jordan won more of the individual titles, not particularly individual awards, in respect to the holistic part of it. But if you take into context what they were doing and how everything was attached to itself, or to the other things, I really don't think it's particularly close. Like, unless, like, but again, that's just what I value. I value results-based stuff more so than just raw production. And I think, like you're saying, you value those stats like by themselves more so. I'm not saying that you don't attach them to things, but I just think they're less valuable as a measuring stick to lead with that. I would not lead with, I don't lead with that being why somebody's great. You know what I mean? That's just how I look at it. It is a part of it. It's just, I think, a lot lower than a lot of other things.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the only, I agree. I think that if you're the lead dog consistently on a lot of teams, that's pretty significant, because finals MVPs, they matter. And really the only pushback I give that is just that there have been so many great players who really haven't just been in the situation to win, or haven't won as much as, let's say, Michael Jordan, right? Well, let's say if Kareem Abdul-Jabbar doesn't have 6 rings and he retires in 82, right? Is he still top 3 all time? Because he had arguably the most dominant decade of all time. He has 6 MVPs. He'd only have the one Finals MVP, right?
I don't
he wouldn't
think
have close
top 3.
I don't think he's top 3. Yeah, and I think that's a tragedy, because I would still put him top 3, because he'd still be arguably the most dominant player in NBA history, right? Like, he was dominant analytically almost more so than anyone else during that time frame, the 70s. He had the 6 MVPs. He was first team all everything. He was winning rebounding, top scorer. He was arguably the best decade ever. You could argue Wilt before that, but to me, it's just like, even if he retires in 82, he wasn't the best player or even close to really his last 3 rings, right? Like, he was, the best players was obviously Magic Johnson. You had James Worth. He was great, and he was maybe there, but I'm like you're saying, like, you wouldn't have him top 3, but those are, like, to me, when you're winning rings, but you're not really like the best player, to me, it doesn't really hurt or move your legacy. That's why I would still have someone like Kareem as top 3.
So I think there's 2 ways you can look at, who's greater in respect. If you're comparing people, you can take the potency of their career. Now, in respect to what you're describing, yes, he would be a top 3. Like, you're hypothetical. I have him, with my new look at things, I have him number 2 all time. But taking that whole last part of his career out is a major part of his career. What I'm getting at is that his potency would be high, still be high with the MVPs during those first the first 10 or so years. What I'm getting at is that I think there's 2 ways you can look at it. You can look at the potency, and you can look at the totals. So the total of the career, but I think the dominance and the dominance over multiple facets per season is what makes somebody so great. So like period, the dominance over multiple facets in a season is what makes somebody great. You can look at it by essentially adding every season up together or averaging every season together to see, well, how can you look at this? So yeah, if you did it with Kareem that way, I think he would do very well otherwise, and he still does very well otherwise, even with the rest of his career on top of it on average. So, but that's how I look at it. Yeah.
I mean, I mean, I'd probably still have him up there. I mean, at worst, I'd have him top 5, just because he's, like I've never used it. He's but yeah, but I think the overall point is like winning's important, sure, but it also requires a lot of things to go right for you, especially if you're talking consistently, right? Like, there's no doubt the Bulls had arguably the best roster, and then definitely the best roster in the 90s, right? When Mike was winning. There's no I mean, they had definitely the best defensive roster, arguably in NBA history, okay, when they were winning. And we didn't really see Mike start doing it until a lot of that coalesced. Like when you got Scotty becoming an all-star, and when you had guys like Horace Grant, all these guys who came into their own, bought into the system. Mike was still fantastic, sure, but winning is not just a one-man show. And this is more towards, especially people who just say winning and have no context or really no concept of what that means, like kind of like King's Speech Row. And I'll expose him on that on Sunday again. But when you say winning and you don't, that's your end all be all, but you really don't know enough about the game to realize the components that went into whatever you're talking about. That's, it's really a strawman argument, because you're moving the goalpost. You're just talking about things that have no context. Like, that's why you can say, you say winning, like Wilt wasn't the ultimate winner, right? He had to change his entire game around to win his last title. But he was dominant, and like the stats are literally why everyone has Wilt as either the GOAT or top 5. It has nothing to do with his winning, because he wasn't a better playoff performer. He only won 2 rings. That's bottom tier of the top 10. But it's only really his statistical dominance that puts him up there. And it's the exact opposite with Bill Russell, right? Like, he was a great rebounder, but he was the 4th, 5th option on his team as far as scoring goes. Like, what do you value? Like, what's the criteria? And I think that not you specifically, but a lot of people, they just say the names, or they say winning, rings, but they don't really have a lot of substance that goes into that.
Yeah, I think you can win, I know you can win a variety of things in your career. And for me specifically with Wilt, it's not the raw stats themselves, it's the dominance of his stats over his contemporaries, winning 7 scoring titles, 11 rebounding titles, etc. That's what I think is more impressive, and even the margin of it. But again, for me, it's about results. So I understand what you're saying, Lincoln. Excuse me, dude. I understand what you're saying. I think that the results attached to the stats, whether they be statistical titles, that, like, if it's more impressive when you're talking just pure points, in my opinion, if you have a statistical title than versus being 2nd or 3rd. Now, also, furthermore, if you take that and attach it to something else, if you attach it to All-NBA or All-Star, or if you attach it to a championship, I think when you start converging all of these things that you can win together is what matters. But I just want to go back to one thing you said, and I'll pass it back to you, is that, the situation and circumstance of where a player plays, it's going to affect if they're going to win a championship. But still, you start going into the what if scenarios, because I think greatness is about what is or what has been. So there's a lot of, and it's different between being better. And I think that's one of the things that separate being better and greater. And being better is a lot more nuance that comes with a lot of conjecture, because there's
Yeah, I've never I agree with you 100% on that. I've never went to like the who's better thing just because it's better is so subjective. Like because there's a lot of things that go better. Like players are better at different things than each other. It's all about the production. And yeah, like I said, it's the winning part of it. And I'll debate anyone on this like if they want to debate like a winning thing versus production. Like I said, how many players have been on like monstrous production, but have either didn't win at all or just wanted a much lower clip than some of these other guys, And I think that's lost on a lot of the casual fans when they talk about when they want to rate players higher than other players who were objectively greater at the game and in every measurable way, but their situation was not as great as say someone like, a Magic Johnson or Wilt during his last run where he was on one of the greatest teams of all time, and they won that. I mean, obviously these guys are key components of that. To drive that, but yeah, to me it's like I don't use simple rings, the ring argument to elevate one player over another without some context. That's why I'll never have somebody like Magic Johnson over somebody like Hakeem Olajuwon or Tim Duncan, because they were objectively far greater players and much more impactful to their team in every measurable sense, and that's light work to prove that. But I mean, and don't talk to me about the entire picture, King's Beach. You literally only believe in winning and rings. You don't have any other argument. And again, you're about to get exposed for the third straight time on Sunday. Believe me. Bring your little boy Magic Johnson, and he's going to get spanked by Daddy Shaq. Pause.
King's Speech, you should be able to win this. I mean, I don't know how you're going to argue it, but
should be. But it's King's Speech. He's not built like that. He's not.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think it, like to what I was discussing before, I think if you look at it, who had a more potent career, I would say that Magic Johnson had a more potent career. But if you look at the totals, somebody
and Shaq,
yeah,
how?
Because they won they both won. Magic won more statistical titles. He won, and they won the same amount of Finals MVPs. They won. Magic won more MVPs. He also the All Stars, the All NBA first teams. I think Magic's got. I'm giving you some ammo, King Speech. I think that Shaq has less All NBA first teams. Magic's got 10 All NBA first teams. I think Shaq's got less than that. There's things you can make an argument for. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to really help.
King Speech already said that he was the first two debates he was putting his kid to bed. That's why he got smoked. Even though he had ample time, both times to prepare. But it's fine. I don't care. We'll do it again. But I mean, I just think I'm not gonna tip my entire hand. But I think Shaq was far more dominant in every sense of the word. I don't really care about statistical titles because that doesn't really paint an accurate picture for me. As far as how that helped your team, you got to look at how good were they when you weren't there as opposed to when you were. When you miss games, what does your effect look like offensively and defensively? And Magic just didn't really move the needle. I mean, obviously he was a fantastic player. He utilized the pieces around him, but he was playing with DPOYs. He was playing with MVPs. He wasn't that guy leading from the front, and most years of his career. Not taking he was sometimes, but Shaq was at his entire career basically. Shaq was like a top 5 scorer in the league right when he came in from the jump. He led his team. He was leading. He was far better defensively than Magic Johnson in every sense of the word. He was an anchor, and not all big men could claim to be that, right? And like I said, not going too overboard, but yeah, it's and especially when we get into his championship winning years, it's going to be there's really not coming back from it, and I can't wait to see how the judges really let King's Speech down easily this time.
Oh my god!
I think Magic Johnson is overrated. I'm just going to say it. I think he's an overrated player. He's top 10, sure, but when I see him top 5 for the GOAT, it just makes me laugh.
Yeah, I think the only way that you could argue that he's the GOAT is that potency argument, but I don't think it's strong enough to do it. But he doesn't really have the longevity attached to it as well. He does have a potent, dominant career. He does have a good, dominant total career as well.
Believe me,
But-
you would be way tougher to debate than that because his entire argument is going to be Magic Johnson threw fast passes. That's all he's going to use. Believe me. That's what he used last time in the debate versus, like, I think it was Tim Duncan. But he's like, Magic passed good. And that's all he has. Pretty sad, dude. But Dar, you would be a much more worthy opponent. But like I said, we're going to do it on FYF. It's going to be lit. So, like I said, I'm sure he won't get to monologue for 2 hours after he loses this time because, he'll get snuffed out. And to be honest, it's not really particularly hard. I would use a King's Speech as a warm-up debate to debate someone better afterwards. If we're being realistic. But anyway, no, this was a great debate. I think this is, the toughest debate because it's, in my opinion, no matter what you see, is these people or Magic or no, LeBron and Jordan are, to me, 1A and 1B, and it's just like, it's two different ways you have to debate them. It's really tough, but I think you did a fantastic job.
Yeah, I just don't see it that way with those two. LeBron is an all-time great. Just because, particularly more so with the totals, but he does have a very potent career as well. I just think Michael is on both sides of it, and I think that I really don't think it's that close. Even with Kareem, I don't think it's particularly that close. But
even with Kareem,
no, it's the closest. I'm just saying, like, the gap, like, between that and then Kareem. Now, this is judging everybody across time. This is not direct comparison. So you could definitely make an argument for Kareem over Michael. I still don't think you're going to win.
I don't think Kareem's over
anybody.
Mike. Yeah, just because I think Mike has the more complete career. I mean, it's close because Kareem has more All-NBA selections, more All-Defensive selections. He has more MVPs. Really, the only thing he's not missing from Mike is Finals MVPs, right? Like, he wasn't the best player on more teams than Mike. That, to me, is the only thing Jordan has over Kareem. Because it's not really statistical dominance, right? I mean, it's not really – you could argue seasonal titles, but who cares? Kareem was the best scorer of his generation, be it points per game and totals. So it's Jordan. So it's a wash to me. Plus, Kareem was winning. Kareem would have had more statistical titles, right, if they were tracking him for his entire career, right? So, and also he would have probably had 2 or 3 DPOYs. So I mean that's a tough argument.
Yeah, Kareem could have won some defensive player of the years. Absolutely, they had the all defense teams.
Yeah.
But he definitely had an opportunity to. 2000 Ravens says, "Don't go over, Dart. They're going to rob you." Yeah, in more ways than one. But yeah.
What was I supposed to say, Ravens? I mean, I feel like I won that debate, but I wasn't going to sit there and rail against the judges for 2 hours like King's Speech does. If they didn't feel I won, like, I liked what they said though. They feel like I did a great job. That's all you can really ask for. But you leave your fate in the hands of and you accept the good with the bad. But
yeah, I think that. I mean, with that debate, I think I only give Lamont the win because it was just the technicality of the debate. You debated one exponentially better than what Lamont was, but he didn't have to do anything really. So
that's true. Yeah, it was a wonky. I just wanted to debate straight up: is Kobe top 10? He didn't want that. He wanted to say, no. You have to address my specific criteria, and I'm just gonna sit back and say no. You're wrong. Like, okay, tough debate. Yeah. But I'd like to get him again. Well, the thing about Lamont, guys, is you'll learn he doesn't want to just straight up have a debate with somebody on neutral ground without a very cherry-picked topic of his own choosing. He won't do that. Like, I was surprised he even joined Dart's tournament thing, and I think he got smoked there. But
you thought Jim beat him with the Bill Russell debate?
I think so. Yeah, it was like one of those debates I was watching. It wasn't like not the guy who didn't show up and like was winning, or the guy that was winning by default.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I mean,
that was the Bill Russell versus LeBron James debate. Yeah.
I mean, give me Bill Russell over LeBron. Like, if I'm talking about just winners, I'm not taking LeBron James first in any draft ever. I'm taking 1972 Kareem first in any draft, or I'm taking 91 Hakeem. And like LeBron's probably 6th or 7th if I'm building a team, but I don't think I think he's a foundational piece, yes, because he's I think the second or third best all around player of all time next to Larry Bird. But he's not. There's other players I take ahead of him for sure.
King's Speech says, "Then how is LeBron your GOAT?"
Because King's Speech, you got to put everything aside, man. You got to put your biases aside. You got to put everything aside, and you got to you have a consistent criteria. To me, LeBron checks all the boxes as far as he's there with MVPs. He's there with Finals MVPs. He has the most of certain things, which is all NBA selections, all first team selections. He has 6 all defensive selections, which is, I think, tied for 3rd all time, right? He has, he consistently finished top 3 or 4 in DPY voting during his heyday, which is a lot of the greats did. But when you talk about who you consider the GOAT, which is Jordan, well, he's doubled his prime. And these aren't just like, I'm not talking about Vince Carter numbers or Robert Parrish numbers where you see 12, 13, or Kareem numbers at the end of, right? Or Kobe numbers at the end of his career, right? 15 points a game with terrible efficiency. No, he's consistently elevated his shooting splits, right? And he's consistently the best or top 5 in the league. Maybe not this year because he was deferring a lot more, but to me, that is unheard of. Unheard of. No other player will replicate that. I want to say that, but when someone just doubles your career, to me, it's tough to say that you're not greater than that person. I get the accolades and achievements, but it's just too much for me anyway. Obviously, everyone has a different opinion. That's fine. Like that, I don't argue with it. If someone says Jordan or Kareem's better, that's totally fine. Like I said, I'm not taking LeBron first in any draft. So if I'm building a team,
where would you pick? Would you pick Michael ahead of LeBron in your hypothetical all-time draft?
No.
Where would LeBron go? 3rd?
LeBron would probably go 3rd, 4th to me, because this is all hindsight, right? Mm-hmm. And I know with prime LeBron, bear in mind, I'm already going to have Kareem and Hakeem, right? Maybe Duncan. And I know that LeBron's going to be a more apt passer. He's going to be able to a little bit more versatile defensively, which is what I'm going to need team perimeter wise. I mean, obviously Mike's a great pick too, but to me it would just be, he's a better 3-point shooter than LeBron, which is what my team is going to need, or than Mike, which is going to be integral. But Mike's a top 5 pick for me, top 10. I mean, it's just how I'm building a team, not how I see Mike around the teams that he had. But if I'm building a team, Jordan isn't like the top 3 pick.
All right.
How about you? Take him first?
Yeah, so considering everything, so if I'm just trying to win, because if you're just trying to pick the greatest player for a whole career, covering how, the definition of greatness, picking somebody who has great ability, quality, and eminence, and it's Michael Jordan. It's not even close. If you're talking just about winning, then and again, I have all of this hindsight capability for the future. I'd probably pick Bill Russell because of all of his recognized capability, qualitatively speaking, to adjust to a team and adjust to situations and the results of him winning, especially in very close games. So, it depends. But if I'm looking holistically as a general manager, I'm going to pick Michael Jordan. If I want to just win basketball games, I'd probably pick Bill Russell.
Yeah, I mean, to build a team, start at 5. I mean,
yeah,
it's Russell's a great pick. I still think I always flip between Hakeem and Kareem. So my first pick, just because you're getting a great two-way player at center. You can easily build around. I mean, I'd probably take Prime Bird over LeBron, honestly. Maybe 3rd or 4th. Because then I'd have incredible shooting. I don't know. It's that would be a fun thing for us to do, is like have like people up here so we could do a snake draft one time or something. That would be fun. See who has the best team at the end.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a difference between like the best team and the greatest team. Because
sure, yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Because we did one last year with the a fantasy draft, and I picked the team to be the best team, not the greatest team. And my team just didn't look the same as others because I designed my team.
Greatest, that'd be tough. I mean, because you take Bill Russell first every time, right? If it's the greatest, I mean.
Well, no. For the great, like developing the greatest team, I would have picked, Michael Jordan first. I picked Bill Russell first for the best team, so he can work in with everybody else. He was also Michael Jordan was off the board, but but again, like if I'm, I had David Robinson, I think was my 2nd round pick, which it was a back-to-back pick. So I could have picked, I think Kareem was still on the table. Wilt Chamberlain was still on the table. All these guys could have got picked. But I picked David Robinson because.
Did you over Kareem? Damn.
For the fast break. Now you could have said Wilt Chamberlain in the early days for the fast break. Probably would have been a better pick, but I picked David Robinson. But either way, Wilt and Bill Russell on the same team, that would have been fantastic. But,
Wilt and Bill Russell, yeah, that would be scary. Like,
yeah.
David Robinson's a great pick though, because I think he's wildly underrated. I have him like 12th all time, 13th, and he has one of the shorter careers, right? Like, especially prime, but I think David Robinson's up there.
With my with my tangibles, I have him 20th all time.
That's fair. It's fair.
Yeah.
And King's Speech, again, this is why you're gonna lose, dude. You don't understand. Like, what we're talking about is going over your head. Like Dart said, better is different than greater. I overall, Larry Bird was a better overall player than LeBron James as far as better. He was a better rebounder, a better shooter. If I'm building a team, I'm taking Larry Bird prime over LeBron James. Obviously, I think LeBron in his heyday was a better defender, but Larry Bird would fill more gaps in my starting rotation than I feel like LeBron James would. I'm not saying he was a better or greater player overall. You got to realize that. Okay? If you want to debate better individual players, that's a completely different argument. Dart agrees with me 100% on that. He convinced me of that. And, I mean, until you get that concept, then whatever argument you make is going to be wildly flawed and easily debunked. And he wants you to explain that. Dart, Ravens wants you to explain better and greater.
All right, so greater encompasses a multitude of different things that include things like in respect to basketball off the basketball court. So every time I do a debate, I define what greatness is. So it's the ability, quality, or eminence of a player that's considerable above everyone else. What greatness is. So that is, with ability means, I can pull it all out, but essentially without really breaking down further what each one of those words mean within to that definition. that includes icon. It includes how much you impact your team. It includes the championships you win. It includes the dominance that you have across your contemporary. Being better is talking about individual skill sets. Who's a better 3-point shooter? Okay. And that's when it gets a lot more nuanced because it's not particularly results based. Am I a better 3-point shooter even though I'm playing against the best defender that's going to be covering me? But then, otherwise on the flip side, that great defender, I'm covering that great defender who's also a great 3-point shooter, but he's similar. But if you take us in other situations, there's what I'm getting at, like with this example, is that there's nuance to saying who's better, and you can't, period, do it across time. Like you cannot have a 1-to-1 who's better comparison unless they're playing each other in some capacity. And even with that said, it's hard with the nuance. That's why the whole who's better is I believe extremely biased, and there's a lot of conjecture involved with it, because especially across different positions, across different eras, across different equipment, across different teams, how are you going to say and rules? How are you going to say who's better? It doesn't make any sense, in my opinion, to objectively have a standard for that.
That's 100% correct. And like, you can't do that argument because it's literally apples to oranges. Like, you're not going to say, you can't say Tracy McGrady is a better 3-point shooter than Shaq and use that to rank them, because it's completely different. You talk about what matters is the results, like their production, how they got it done. Every player has a different skill set, right? For the most part, some are similar, but it's just an ignorance to say that player was better, therefore he's ranks higher in my all-time list, right? It's ridiculous. Like it's like different players are good at different things. And so when you're talking about greater, though, that gives us a baseline to use, and that way you can start comparing their careers objectively, And so, when you talk about greater, greater, you can say, this guy won, here's their resumes, but better is a completely different conversation. If I'm just taking like the 5 best players of all time, or best, at different things, like obviously you take a look at like Curry, you take, Wilt, obviously you can make an argument for Mike, these guys who are just, great at whatever, whatever you like. What's your flavor? Like the best footwork, the best 3-point shooter, the best free throw shooters, like taking like Mark Price all the time, or like who you're thinking. Like it's just to me, when I hear that, when I hear someone say he was better than this guy, but with no context, and then they use that to rank him, I'm sure you agree with me. It's just like you can't really do that. So
yeah, and how are you going to say for like you can have evidence-based claims of why somebody's better, but there's so much nuance to it. And if you look at the definition, it says of a more excellent or effective type of quality. But if there's no baseline for it, then there's how can you measure it? Like, because of all the dynamics that I brought up earlier, it just doesn't make sense. So you can still make claims for it. Like, who's to say that Bird's not a better shooter than Curry? I mean, you can, I'm not saying this is the case of what I think, but he used the ball differently, or they shot the ball differently back then. They didn't shoot it as often. It's Curry did it in volume.
That's the key. Era matters. Yeah. Era's huge.
Especially with better, because if you're trying to say I'm better than, am I a better wrestler than a Greek, Olympian or something like that from, zero, the year zero.
Yeah.
But,
no, exactly. Like it's completely different. You're dealing with different rules, you're dealing with different circumstances, different strategies, what your team wants to do, different equipment. Like it's not a 1-to-1 comparison, especially when you're talking about. That's why when everyone says, "Oh, look at this competition," I just dismiss whatever they say out of hand, because it's just a terrible argument. It means you don't know the game. You don't know, because like you always say, time machine basketball. You can't just drop another player in another era and say, because they would have to conform to those other rules. They would have to play within the offense, the system that they're dropped into. They wouldn't just be like, do what I want, I'm still gonna, win everything. No, it doesn't work that way. And to answer your question, Raven, you can determine the GOAT. You don't look at who's better. That should not factor into you look at the resumes and you look at your own criteria. You decide what matters to you. Was it winning? Was it production? Whatever, competition, whatever you want to throw in there, you have your own criteria and you stick to it, but make sure it's consistent. Make sure it can consistently go through, apply to every player that you look at. And otherwise it doesn't matter anything. So, and that's it. I mean, that's all you do.
You don't particularly need to attach math to it because there's a lot of qualitative things that are involved with it. How do you measure rules changes across, how much does that count to your legacy? If you're counting in respect to doing math, who knows? I think it's more than an MVP. I think it's more than a championship. But what is it really like? And what rule is it? Like, those are things that there's so many dynamics. There's not any real standard to it other than it's just defining a change. But I think it's important to acknowledge that as part of somebody's greatness, let alone, saying, well, like with Steph Curry, you can lay blame or claim to him revolutionizing, if you want to use that word, or changing the way the play style of the NBA today with all the excessive 3-point shots. So that's great in its own way, but how do you measure that? I don't know, in respect to a tangible way. But it can be addressed in a debate because it's a debate. Like, it's not who's the GOAT, it's who are you claiming is the GOAT. Because really, there is no objective GOAT in respect to using it in a math equation. If you want to go by the NBA and then having Michael Jordan come out last for the top 75, then explicitly say it, you can say the NBA or whoever claims it recognizes whoever as the greatest of all time, but doesn't mean they're the greatest of all time. No, it just means that the NBA says it or whoever. And and a lot of times, so, there's no evidence presented for it.
Yeah. And that's also, you're right, 2000 Ravens, your own criteria is a bias, but I mean, like Dart said, there's no objective GOAT, right? It's all, but, and yeah, your criteria is always going to have some amount of bias because you pick it, right? You're not just saying, someone else like the NBA isn't say this is what you go off. No, you pick it. It's what you value. But most importantly, at the end of the day, it's what you can argue for. And that's what we do up here. We argue for it. You're welcome to come up here and argue. I'm going to destroy King's Speech Row again. He's crying about his last loss about Spurs Lakers. And hey, like I said, he was so mad. But like I said, it's even if I don't believe that the Spurs are going to beat the Lakers, the point is I can argue it 10,000 times better than he can, especially in a format. Like, tune into any of our debates. It's not close. He'll go off the rails afterwards when everyone's bored and wanting to leave after they already gave their decision. But it doesn't change the fact that it's what you can argue for. Like I said, you give me any player versus any player, Dart and I will swap up. We can each come up with a great argument for whoever you want us to. It doesn't matter. And no matter, regardless of what we believe personally. And at the end of the day, it's how well you can convince others, right? Not just yourself. How eloquent are you? How good are you at retaining information, looking up those facts? And that kind of separates you from the other fans.
So for next week's debate, you want to try doing a team since you brought up the team?
The greater team, right? Yeah, yep. We can definitely do that.
Who do you have in mind? Who do you think is the greatest team of all time?
The greatest team of all time? I mean, give me. This is a tough one too because it's all about like the roster one. Give me the 95 Rockets.
You really want that? I mean, like we can just debate whatever, but I'm just like, do you think that the 95 Rockets is the greatest team? Like, well, like if we can do it in earnest, that's always, I think it's more fun because you have more, oomph behind trying to make your argument.
Well, 2000 Ravens. I crushed him on his own platform last time with his own judges. I mean, what do you want? Like, we're gonna do FYF. That's my platform. I'm never on there. So whatever. Like, it's gonna be light work again. But I think, I mean, a greatest team ever. I mean, it's so that's a very nuanced debate. I think it'll be great because, like, if you're talking about just like personnel in a roster, like you have so many to choose from, right? You have that 86. I mean, who would I pick? Yeah, give me 2001 Lakers. I will debate.
Okay, you think that's the greatest team of all time?
I think it's the greatest team of all time.
Okay, I'll pick the '96 Bulls.
Deal. Classic. That'll be a good one. That'll be a good one. Yeah. Are you gonna watch me destroy Roe tomorrow?
Oh, maybe. I mean, when is it? Is it on the GJK time?
No, it's on. It's actually on FYF, but it's they challenged me about that. It's your time would be 10 a.m.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but regardless, even if you're not, I'll send you the transcript. But we can
I might not watch it live, but I'll watch it back.
And I will think of if you think of a slogan before me, let me know. But I'll think of it all day today. We get a tagline for us.
You've been saying this for 3 weeks.
I have, and I just forget about the tagline, honestly, because I'm like trying to think of our debate and stuff. But I'm not doing anything today. I will think of that.
Okay.
Sure.
It's on you to open the show next time and surprise me with it.
Let's do it.
Hopefully it's good. I'm going to tell you if it's not good, but I want to be surprised by it.
Do we drop a link with any of these guys, or is that not something we do here?
If you want, we can drop a link.
I don't care. I mean, it's if they want to get like
if you guys can, please say who you thought won our debate first, and then you can go attack Travis. Because
honestly, it might be Dart. I just wasn't my best debate, but who do you guys think? At least come up here and explain it, right?
Yeah. Yep. I dropped the link if you guys are interested. I'm going to shut this down relatively soon, though, afterwards. But yeah, if you can, just say who you thought. King's Peach Row, welcome.
Of course.
Say my name and I will appear. What am I like? What's this guy from Joe Hendry? from what's it? TNA, the TNA Championship. Say his name, you will appear. Joe Hendry, the TNA champion. I don't know if you guys are wrestling guys, but anyway. So no. It's I want to know who are the judges and what time, so I can properly. My 1.5-year-old is in Brazil, so I have ample time to prepare and just. I'm gonna break down your whole philosophy because I've been watching this and I'm trying to understand. You would pick guys over LeBron. I get it to start a team because that's the main thing, right? Who's the great? Like, who would I pick? I think that's when it comes down to it. Who would I pick? If I got, like I told Lamont, if your life was on the line and you had to guard Shaq, would you? Because he was trying to kill Hakeem Olajuwon, right? Would you pick Rudy Gobert or would you pick Hakeem Olajuwon? You know what he said? He picked Rudy Gobert because of modern defenses, blah blah blah. Wait a minute. I got the guy who literally swept Shaq, prime Shaq, in a playoff series, but you picked the guy who just scored 6 points and 5 rebounds against Chet Holmgren in a playoff series? It makes no sense. But
Can you say who you thought won the debate, please?
Oh yeah, I don't want to debate. I mean, and again, it's an uphill battle because obviously Jordan is the GOAT. You use the longevity argument, right? And it's a lot based on numbers. But again, the first word in greatest of all time, or great, who's greater, is greater, is greatest. And the longevity does not equal greatness. Doing more in less time, accomplishing greater feats in less time makes Jordan greatest. Again, I use the argument when I go against LeBron's GOAT case. He hasn't made an All-NBA defensive team in 12 times. Now, I get to see this because I get to see this in real time, right? I saw when Kobe kind of took it easy on defense for about the last 4 or 5 years of his career. Maybe a lot of that second 3 finals run. But he wasn't a statue on defense like LeBron. They were still giving LeBron depoy votes, but they weren't putting him on a defensive team, right? And then they just stopped giving him depoy votes because he's a statue on defense. And that is aided in his longevity with the offensive numbers. So that's one argument that I always put against LeBron when it comes to so the longevity is great because he's putting up offensive stats, but he's becoming a non-factor on defense, and that has hurt his team. So now the fact that he's still in the casino gambling, that's the way I'm looking at it now, right? That's what I'm gonna make the thing about a casino, the longer you stay in a casino, the less likely you are to come out ahead. LeBron is still at the table thinking he can, make bets, get Luka, get the Lakers to draft Luka, and then think that losing in the first round with Luka doesn't hurt his legacy. It does. You're playing with us. You've made the argument early in your career that you didn't have an all-time leading scorer. Now you're playing with the second leading playoff scorer. That's like in a casino-wise, you're putting $10,000 chips on the table, and you're coming on craps. That's going to hurt your legacy because
losing hurts your legacy.
Oh, yes. Losing hurts your legacy, especially when you have expectations to win. See, that's the difference with Jordan. And it's funny, shout out to Uncut Hoops, because now the 1-9 without Pippen argument is a flaw. Jordan won a second playoff game without Pippen. Game 4 against Charles Barkley's 76ers. Pippen was out that game. The Bulls took a 3-1 lead. They were down 14 late in that game, and Jordan had 45 points. They actually got 21 points from Stacey King off the bench. So now the 1-9 argument that LeBron fans like to use is a fallacy because Jordan is 2-9. But again, here's the thing. When you guys make your GOAT debates, right, you want to take away from the fact that, like, Kareem played – Magic had a Kareem. Magic had this. So-and-so. The way I look at it is when you have the great player, what did you do? Not what did you do without, what did you do with? Because I'm not going to hold it against a player that he had another great player. That Magic had Worthy and Scott. No. He had Magic, Worthy, and Scott, and he dominated the league. They got to 9 finals. You understand what I'm saying? So not to telegraph too much, but because I'm going to keep it over Magic, but any other great. What Magic, first of all, again, Pippen came into the league. Pippen wasn't even on the all-rookie team of a draft where David Robinson was still doing in a draft where the 18th pick, Mark Jackson, was the rookie of the year. Pippen didn't even make the all-rookie team as the 5th. By definition, being the 5th pick, he should have been, the all-rookie team, right? Armin Gilliam, the second, I believe Armin Gilliam was the second. No. The second pick was Armin Gilliam. Like, you couldn't get on all. So the idea that Pippen caused Jordan to start winning playoff series is ridiculous. It's just a ridiculous argument, but they use it because Pippen eventually became a great player. It's just, so when I try to tell, it's really hard because it's hard to do in these 5-minute rounds to get a lot of information in, but it's hard to get your whole philosophy. And I want to kill your whole philosophy because, I mean, you really don't like Magic. And this is why when I have that debate, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't
like Magic.
Huh?
I like Magic. I just think he's overrated, man.
See that, and that's the thing. That's the crazy part. Like I said, Magic, to me, 3 greatest winners in the history of American sports: Bill Russell, Tom Brady, Magic Johnson. And that right there supports each of their GOAT cases.
Ahead of Michael Jordan?
Michael Jordan had losing seasons. And I get it, right? The early ones, again, he could have won 40, he could have won 42 and 40. I would have forgave it. Magic Johnson doesn't have a losing season at any level. And Magic Johnson has championships at every level. Right?
I mean, do you think if Jordan gets drafted by the Lakers, right, with that same team, you don't think they win 10 in a row?
10 in a row? No, that's not necessarily the case because does Magic fit that roster that
They for sure win in
Jordan is my
84.
GOAT. Huh?
They for sure win in 84.
They win in 84, but do they win in 80? Could rookie Jordan he wouldn't have started at center, but could rookie Jordan, which mind you, Magic was the filling guy. Magic, I don't think I can't look at they didn't really keep the stats on GameStar. But from what I understand, Magic can't spend a lot of that season coming off the bench. He definitely wasn't the starting point guard. That was Norm Nixon. And remember, Magic didn't start at point guard until Norm Nixon was traded, which didn't become to 83?
Yeah. So Jordan definitely would have started. Jordan would 100% have started. I mean, even after like maybe 2 or 3 weeks, would he have had the same? I don't think he would have had obviously the same points per game because Kareem was still there at prime.
You still got the captain, and
I mean Kareem was robbed of Finals MVP, big time, and I mean they still win in 80 probably. They definitely win in 84. They probably win in. I think they at least get to the finals in 86. Because
what about 82? See, you skipped over 82 where Magic won.
82? No, they won at 82, right? Yeah, they still win. Yeah, but I think Magic was good, was great in 87. He was good in 88. I think Mike wins Finals MVP in 80. It's all whatever. I mean, I think Magic's a fantastic leader. I think he was a very integral part to all those. No one's ever said that. If I came across saying he wasn't important in those teams, then that's not at all what I meant or saying. He was a fantastic player. He's certified top 10. But I think that, to me, when I'm personally ranking players, like I said, I don't use anything to knock them. Like I said, I don't use losing seasons to knock them. I don't use playoff failures to knock them or anything. I only use their accomplishments, right? And to me, I have Magic right now at 8, right? I think there are players above him who were more impactful measurably on both ends and whose resumes either match or exceed his, but more importantly, they were more impactful in my opinion.
And that's fair. That's fair. Again, I gotta honestly, and from what I have to. When I say this too, the two best players I've seen their career from start to finish are Kobe and LeBron. So if I go by the greatest players I've seen start to finish, Kobe's my GOAT. LeBron's my second GOAT. But here's what I get to see with the LeBron. After the Spurs loss, LeBron stopped caring about defense. He literally stopped caring about defense, and it became about the numbers. And it's sort of this, I still got it type of thing where you care a little bit more about the numbers than you do about winning. And now, okay, again, like I said, he's in Vegas at the table putting high chips, the Russell Westbrook move. You're putting chips. You're getting the Lakers to trade away their future to get a Russell Westbrook. Then they had to give up a first-round pick to get rid of Russell Westbrook. This affects the Lakers.
What does this mean toward, how do you apply this to your criteria?
That's what I'm saying, because I'm going to look at that's the thing. Now you got to look at team narrative, because one thing I do is look at team narrative. There are a lot of team narratives in Wilt GOAT cases, right? Wilt had the numbers, but he couldn't win because he played selfish basketball. Again, you have to go back to the nuances and understand, okay, what were they saying? What were they writing about in the 60s? Yes, Wilt was a selfish guy. Wilt was a guy who you couldn't get the ball to because he was definitely afraid of the free throw line. Mind you, Russell wasn't a great free throw shooter either, but Russell managed to touch the ball and make the winning plays down the stretch. Again, Russell, as you guys pointed out on your own program, Russell played in 10 game sevens. A lot of those game sevens came down in the fourth quarter. Russell was there making fourth quarter plays, whether it be shots, just tip outs, steals, dunks, clearing the ball out. I saw one play where Johnny played where Russell just running the floor allowed for Sam Jones. It was either Sam Jones or Cousy the scooping, just the fact that he ran the floor and took the defense with him, because you have to now account for him on the offensive glass. Like, you can make the stop. Russell was a amazing rebounder. When they say, oh, well, the only reason why he got so many rebounds because they missed so many shots. Well, okay, Russell and Chamberlain were miles ahead of everybody else in rebounding. You had other great big men as well, like Jerry Lucas, Walt Bellamy, etc. So those narratives do come into a place. See, I do use the narratives in my growth criteria, which is why I say winning versus expectations. When you have teams that come in preseason favorite and you don't make the playoff, that's a knock. Because again, 1-9 versus the Bulls were not expected to win right away with Michael Jordan. It would be to come into a team that hadn't done anything since the Bulls. I think the last time the Bulls made the conference finals was maybe 75, something like that. And again, even then it was just they would win one round. So I don't think the Bulls ever won more than one round. Maybe they won 2 rounds one time in the playoff. And then what do you
think about that, Dark? What do you think about using low lights to affect your overall rankings of players?
Oh, against somebody else?
Well, just all time, like because Rose says it's part of his criteria, which I think is, I think it could be inconsistent because I don't think you could really use that to everyone, or it's just really hard.
You know what you can do? You can use it when comparing one guy to the next. So when I start off with the fact that my top 25 are almost right there. Like, I would pick it if we're putting a team together, right? My own top 25, I don't think one is that much better than number 25. To be honest, let's say I had Elgin Baylor at 25 and I have Michael Jordan at 1. In a perfect world, they're not that different. A lot of old heads will tell you Baylor could do everything that Jordan could. He just was played in a different era where it wasn't appreciated. Now,
I don't think Elgin Baylor's that low, honestly.
Well, I'm just saying. Yeah,
Can I answer? Can I answer the question?
No. Well, I'm just saying. Okay, all right. Let's say Isaiah is 25. A lot of people say Isaiah and Micah right there. See, again, when Rose
gets on a roll, he doesn't shut the fuck up.
Bro, can I please answer Travis's question?
My fault.
Okay. Yeah, I think there's attached value to things like winning a scoring title. You need to score the most. So it's easy to transcend that across time. Even though it's changed or whatever, like some of the criteria, but they still had the same criteria and they still relatively meant the same thing. Low lights, there's no general attached criteria for a low light. If you say somebody choked, I think you can bring it up in a debate, but you can't. I don't think it's a tangible thing. It's just it's a qualitative expression of why you think somebody is not as great as somebody else. But you can't. I don't think you can attach it across all time. I think Roe as much said this, but that you can do it in a comparison, but I don't think you can measure it across time.
Yeah. And here's okay, and I'm sorry because he really kind of called out how the consistency part. As I said, if I drafted the 25th, if I had the 25th best player, right, whoever you guys have at 25, right, I don't know if y'all let's go that deep, or even if you put in the chat GPT your criteria and then it comes out. If I drafted the 25th best player, year 1, if I put the right team around him, I couldn't expect to win multiple championships. In a perfect world, right? I'm gonna put the right team around. Now, when I say 1 in 25 are not that different, then that means when I start ranking, let's say it's Dominique Wilkins, right? Because this is another one of the what ifs. He went to an Atlanta instead of if the Lakers took Worthy, Atlanta wound up taking him. As we all know, Atlanta never put anything around him, and he never had the winning, right? Now, we all believe that if the Lakers took him, he probably wins with Showtime, right? I mean, at least 3 championships. I don't think the difference between Worthy and even from a team's perspective, this arguably could say that the Lakers would have won more with Dominique, right?
I think for me personally, it's conjecture. I have no idea I don't
I
like
get
to speculate.
Yeah, I know. So I'm saying the speculation is hard, but then as I start to then like go one to the next, I'm gonna say, you know what? I think this guy's winning. This guy's the fact that this guy did win more or whatever now puts him ahead. Now can put him ahead of the so and so. So I try to start of who's a great. Like everybody knows that Dominique was a great player, right? We all. I mean, come on. At the end of the day, because like when you say 25 is low. Well, again, the 25th best player in a perfect world, you should be able to win. A smart GM could win at least multiple championships, at least back to back. Like again, Isaiah Thomas, great player. They put the right team around him. They got their shot. They won back to back. They went to 3 straight finals. People could have said a lot of people still think that they should have won Game 7 against the Lakers in 87 and 88, and then the Lakers don't go back to back. So
I've got Dominique 61st all time.
Woo! Yeah. Him not getting the top 50 when they did the first one is really hard. But that's what I'm saying. What has Dominique that low is the fact that he didn't win. As talent-wise, you could say he's one of the greatest scorers of all time. Very underrated defensively. He scored a bunch of levels. Really hard cover.
51st, sir?
He said 61st.
61st.
61st. Yeah,
damn, 61st? That's
wow. Yeah, I mean, but see, you look, I did a chat GPT, my criteria, I put it all in. They didn't have Scotty or Patrick Ewing in the top 50. And I had to then beat chat GPT in the head.
It's garbage. Because you basically have to you have to tell it what to think.
Yes, exactly. Like I had to tell it that Phil Jackson wasn't the 91 Lakers coach. He was the 2001 Lakers coach.
There was only one season that Dominique Wilkins won more than that. He only won 3 awards or titles that he could have won. Otherwise, he won 2 of those. He won that 6 times in his career, and then 2 other times he won 1 award.
Sorry, say it ain't so.
You have Gilbert Arenas over.
Yeah, I just caught that.
Over me.
Okay.
No, I don't have Gilbert Arenas.
Okay.
What is it, Gil? Yeah.
Oh God, that was Rex just pulling your chain there. Boy. I just looked at Gil's numbers. Wow, he shot 41%. Then again, Gil was what he was. 41%.
I mean, honestly,
I'm not a field goal percentage guy. I'm not one of these guys that kill guys for shooting under 45% like that. But
my God, I could put Dominique lower than top 30.
Yeah, I mean, see what I'm saying. Eye test tells me that Dominique is one of the best 25 players, maybe top 30 at worst. Eye test definitely tells me that.
Where do you have Pippen at?
Tell me somebody who's. Tell me when I list these names. Tell me if Dominique is convincingly greater than them. So I'm going to just breeze through a lot of these So Jordan, Kareem, LeBron, Wilt Chamberlain, Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan, Hakeem Olajuwon, Bill Russell, Chris Paul, Shaquille O'Neal, Bob Cousy, Kevin Garnett, Magic Johnson, Moses Malone, Dr. J, John Stockton, Larry Bird, Oscar Robertson, John Havlicek, Kevin Durant, Giannis Antetokounmpo, David Robinson, Scottie Pippen, Bob Pettit, Steph Curry, Karl Malone, Jerry West, Allen Iverson, Kawhi Leonard. We're on 30.
I'm taking him over AI for sure.
I'm taking him over Pippen. I'm taking him over AI. I'm taking him over arguably.
He's not done. Hold on.
He's definitely better than Reggie Miller. I know that much.
Did you say Larry Bird's behind Stockton for you?
Who, me?
No, I don't think so. Let me see.
Okay.
No, I got Bird's ahead of Stockton. I got Bird at 14.
14?
If I take the 8 rings out, I can make a Hondo versus Dominique debate. But unfortunately, Hondo has the 8 rings.
Well, yeah, but Pippen's got 6 rings and Dominique's got none. How can you take that out?
You need to go watch some film of Pippen, of what Dominique used to do to Pippen, especially young Pippen and then prime Pippen. Dominique used to kill him on both ends. Used to
But
kill him.
it has nothing to do with him being greater than.
So that's what I'm saying. I start off with who do I think is the better individual player, and then again, as we know, Dominique played it for shitty teams. Let's keep it real. Atlanta is a city sports town in general, and then what has the Atlanta Hawks ever done?
He's not. Pippen's greater than Neek though, because he was a top 5 defender of all time.
See, that's what I'm saying. Neek was an underrated defender. He's not on a team to get appreciated.
You're saying, Pippen was an average scorer. I mean, Pippen was efficient, but you're just saying that because Neek could beat Pippen one-on-one probably, you're saying that he's ranked higher all time.
Okay, here's the story. Neek, first of all, Atlanta was very competitive despite, the Bulls being a better team. Neek would guard Mike. Scotty would guard Neek. And Neek would just hit him for 30 every time. So if Pippen's defense was so great, it wasn't great enough to take away from Neek's offensive. Now, it's so hard to find the head-to-head stats, but yeah, Neek has some great head-to-head numbers against both young, developing Pippen and prime Pippen. And then, obviously the 92 Achilles tear put a crimp in Neek, but he came back and still became a dominant scorer after that.
So wait, you know what's wrong with your criteria, Ro, is that, or what you're saying here, Neek arguably is better than someone like who's super high on your list, like Magic Johnson, right? What is the only thing that does better than Neek is pass, right? He was a better scorer than Magic Johnson. He was better defensively. If he's on that team, obviously Magic has the winning, but that's all. It blows away your whole. Pippen was a better winner than Neek, right? But you're saying Neek was better than him in scoring and overall defensively, right? So he ranks higher than him all time. You don't make any sense.
No, it do make sense because Neek is a better individual player. Neek's defense is obviously Scotty has defensive accolades because he's on a team for it to be appreciated. What Scotty was as a defender and what Neek was as a defender. Again, Scotty's the guy Neek is the guy that's guarding Jordan, and he's actually making life a little bit tough on Jordan in some of those matchups. But Neek is playing with Doc Rivers, and Jordan is playing with a great coach and a great system. Again,
bro, I want to ask you a question. Sure. I want to ask you, in 50 years, all right, because you can say that, and maybe so. I don't particularly agree with it, but it doesn't matter to this question. Mm-hmm. You're saying that Dominique Wilkins is better than Scottie Pippen, but there's a difference between better and greater. So,
of course.
Okay, but that's what we're talking about is greater. So, secondly, I want to explain why. In 50 years, Dominique's on the top 75 players of all time, so people will look at him. But if you're just looking at his titles that he's won as an individual, meaning his statistical titles, his championships, and all the awards associated with that, and all sorts of awards and all-stars, and just the aura around Dominique Wilkins, because that's essentially, if you look at the dictionary definition of greatness, is what it defines as ability, quality, and eminence. Who's greater, Scottie Pippen or Dominique Wilkins?
I'm gonna tell you, Scott. I'm gonna tell you, Dominique, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because 100 years, for 50 years.
Okay.
No. So in 50 years, they're gonna say, "Oh, damn, Michael Jordan was great." And I'm gonna say, let's say, thank God, I'll be blessed. I'll be 96 at the time. If I still got my scruples, I'm gonna tell you, the only guy physically who could live up to even be close to Michael at the same time was Dominique Wilkins. And the thing is, yes. Then I'm gonna go back to the context and say again, he was with the Atlanta Hawks, who never put anybody around him. Again, Kevin Willis at one point. Some of those teams were and again, they could only get to a second round, and he just never got the team. So it's like T-Mac. We're doing this whole T-Mac versus Kobe thing. I sat there and saw how great T-Mac was for those 5 years. Problem is with T-Mac is he only had those 5 years, and again, it's not that easy to just say if we would have put so-and-so, if you'd have put him on but T-Mac was unguardable for about 5 years. You couldn't guard him with his own position.
Can I ask you a question? Do you know who Neil Johnson is? Can you tell me some things that Neil Johnson did?
Neil Johnson was a pretty good. Neil Johnson was a pretty good small forward scorer. Like he
He
probably
wasn't a
was.
small forward.
Well, he was he 6'4", 6'5"?
No, he was a power forward. He was the first power forward ever in the NBA. He
Okay.
won multiple scoring titles. He won multiple championships, all NBA first team. But you don't know shit. You don't know. I'm not saying just you. Everyone doesn't know shit about him. And when you take 50 years and remove it with Michael Jordan, you're like, unless, and I'm not talking to you specifically. So when I said you, I didn't mean you specifically.
I got you.
I meant society. So when you look back 50 years from now, and people look at Michael Jordan, if they go and they look at, they'd have to do research in respect to the context of Dominique Wilkins. Like he's not. When you look at Scottie Pippen, there's all these all NBAs, there's all these all defenses, there's all these championships.
And I get it.
Okay, I'm saying in society, I think more people than not are going to consider Scottie Pippen a greater player than Dominique. Maybe you don't, and that's your perspective, and you have your experience and your bias and your criteria. But I'm saying, like, bringing up the definition, when you look at that, and if words have meaning, how people look at that word and attach it to basketball, those are three things that they look at: the ability, quality, and eminence of a player. And I don't think Dominique really is, in totality of all those three things, meets that standard. And I think he's well below Scottie Pippen as one of the greatest players of all time. I mean, Dominique is a great player and one of the greatest of all time, but I don't think it's close in that specific example.
No, and you're right. You make a really good point there. And you know what's crazy about it? Then the only thing you're going to do is say, look at the dunk contest with him and Mike. I mean, that's probably like his biggest claim to fame was he was the human highlight film, right? Look at his dunk. Like, he's the only guy he's the second guy in the league that could make you think that, okay, there was at least another guy like Mike. Unfortunately, we didn't have Len Bias because they said Len Bias could have been another one of these lights out, just visual players. Yeah, Dominique was a great visual player, but I think context to him being a winning player just had to do with and that's the thing is this is what happens when we have a 30-team league. There are a lot of great players who just are in bad situations, and now that's why you have what you have now. A lot of players deciding, okay, well, I got to get to a winning situation. Because nobody wants to be the Dominique. Nobody wants to be the Charles Barkley, who did get to a team that could get to the finals, but unfortunately lost to Jordan. Now he has to sit on TV talking about the game. You never won a championship. Kenny's it's funny that Kenny Smith just always sons Charles Barkley with the two rings. Barkley. I mean, you forget Phoenix took them to Game 7. Kevin Johnson had their whole team almost fouled out of the game. And it's like, yeah, Kenny has the two rings because you rode on Hakeem Olajuwon's back. Barkley was far better player than you. But nobody, that's what I'm saying. Nobody wants to be, I don't want to sit on a panel as Charles Barkley or Dominique Wilkins and say, damn, I was good, but I just never got on that team. So, I get it. Like I said, I try to look at who do I think is the greatest player. The thing up again, like Neil Johnson, you have to go back and research, and a lot of people are gonna have to go back and research Dominique Wilkins. I mean, same thing with Chris Webber. I think Chris Webber I'm glad, did they put Chris Webber on the 75 team? Because he just got to the Hall of Fame, and I thought they kept him out of the Hall of Fame a lot because Chris Webber was amazing. Unfortunately, 02 happened with his best chance at the championship.
One happened too.
Yeah.
Where he got swept.
What happened?
01 happened also with the same team. He just got swept.
The Lakers. That's the crown jewel of Shaq's career. That they swept the West. They swept the good West. On top of that,
they swept the best West.
Was it the best West? It was okay. It was great. I thought it was a couple of late 2000s West were a little bit better. Like I remember one year when the Nuggets won like 49 games and they were the 8th seed. I thought that might have been a little bit better, but
2010 was pretty tough too with Lakers. I mean, because who they go through? They went through like Phoenix. They went through. Nuggets was the year before. They went through OKC, right?
Mm-hmm. Mhm.
and then
Yeah, the upstart on
it was
PC.
I think that's the Spurs, but Houston, Houston Rockets.
Mhm.
Those were really good teams, really great teams. I mean,
You know, and that's the
I
thing.
just think that
I'm sorry.
I just think that 2001 run was filthy because
It was filthy.
just like,
I mean, they look.
you had prime Kings, prime Blazers. I mean, arguably prime Spurs, and like at least you had the best iterations of those teams up until that point, typically, and like those were all teams that won like what 50+ games.
Yeah.
and they were just like Spurs had home court advantage. Like they just got mopped. Like the 01 team was disgusting.
This is why I applaud you as a BS artist, Travis. You convinced the judges, well, one being a Spurs fan, that a team that lost by an average of 111 to 83. Oh no, it was one. No, it wasn't that quite that bad. I think it was 103 to 83, 82. Actually, 103 to 82 would beat my Lakers team that made the finals.
Oh, with that terrible roster you guys had, just crush them. Dark,
Okay.
What do you think about that? 01 Spurs versus 91 Lakers. I think it's
I watched that debate. I mean, I think that again, the whole better thing and who would win, it's all conjecture.
That's right.
It's conjecture, and you really have to figure. Like I said, I want to do that again, but we got to figure out really what, because I think we got to.
Next week we're doing a better version of that, though. Like which team is greater, right? Not which would win.
Well, I did, like I said, I did 86 versus 96. Celtic versus what's the name was 30. It just can't. I mean, y'all should watch that debate too. I did it against 30. We both were rusty as hell. We had very little. I was just doing. No, well, I think I won. I don't know because it's all fan vote. So I don't know who the fans voted yet. But I put 86 Celtics versus 96 Bulls, and that was a pretty decent. And again, I was just greater. But I really want to do because it's nuance. What I want to do is like put yourself in the coach. It's almost like a redo, right? Here's a team that could have won, but they ran into the like 91 that could have been Magic 6 ring, but of course they ran into Jordan, who just showed he was ready for prime time, right? Jordan is the reason why they dominated that series. He averaged 30. That's the only finals performance, 30 and 10 assists. Nobody else has done 30 and 10 assists since then. Not even LeBron. I don't think LeBron has done 10 assists a game in the finals. So, especially in that era, that's quite amazing. But I want to do it to where you're trying to do a championship redo where you put yourself in the coach's shoes and then you come up with the strategy and then you have to convince the judges and audience who would win that 7-game round series. So it's something I just came up with that day, and on how to actually do it. Yeah.
All you just have to say is no, though. Like, there's no evidence behind it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, I get it.
If you say, I'm going to take Magic Johnson, I'm going to make him crash the middle. This is not the greatest example, but you get more nuance. Where I'm going to put Magic on the fast break, and he's going to finish. He's going to pass it to Byron Scott, James Worthy, and sometimes he'll win on the fast break. All Travis is going to have to say is no. I'm going to, Tim Duncan and David Robinson's going to stop him. And then he's going to go and say, well, I'm going to try and feed, the center. And then you're going to say, well, I'm going to swarm their point guard and steal the ball from them and then do the fast break. And all it's just going to be is a big no fest. Like, there's no evidence to back it up.
How that went too.
No, I get that part. See, again, what I was trying to let him know is, hey, I got Sam Perkins. He can stretch it out. The strength. We all know the strength of that Spurs team is that they had two dominant rim protectors. Like, I think probably I can't even think of another team that had two more dominant rim protectors at the time, right? He's right. All-NBA, top 10 All-NBA, MVP, and D-Boys, two of them. But he didn't take into account that Sam Perkins was a stretch 4. That one of them big guys gonna have to come out the lane. Then I have the greatest operator, point guard, quarterback of all time at his best. And then, so again, it is really hard. I had to look at ChatGPT and see what they do, how they simulated all the games. Again, ChatGPT is not perfect at all. But yeah, I mean, they like I said, one game, Perkins hits 3 threes. If Perkins hits 3 threes in a 91 setting, that's pretty, that's actually pretty pivotal, especially when you're at a point where threes and points are at a point. At some point, they're gonna have to respect Sam Perkins' ability to, especially with Magic getting him the ball. Again, you convinced them that my backcourt was so poor defensively, which again we
Exactly.
played.
That's all that matters.
But again, that same Lakers team played 3 better backcourts than you had by far. And we managed, and they managed to survive. But I know it's really hard to do. And I guess maybe we just do the greatest team. But I do think we need to do more team debates, because we do need to do more team, like individual teams, and okay, this team was great.
What we're doing next week.
Yeah. And me and Sturdy did it, and we both said, yeah, it's kind of tough. It's kind of tough because you got to get a lot of information in 5-minute rounds, right? My criticism of you too is you didn't even have your starting lineup right. Like, you didn't realize that Elliott was done by those playoffs. Now, if you want to tell me that Elliott, you could have, it was Danny Ferry who was the starting small forward. I would think any judge would say, okay, I definitely got the advantage with Worthy against Danny Ferry. Danny Ferry scored 6 points a game, and yes, he was a stretch 3 himself. But at this point, like three years later, he'd be running the Cavs.
Well, maybe you can snatch a W tomorrow, Ro. I doubt it.
Yeah, I think you're a little overconfident. I think, I've already been formulating I've already tried to find flaws in your. No excuses. You're right. I am asking who are the judges. Do you know who the judges right now?
I don't know who the judges are. I just told them to pick 3 judges.
So Lamar's gonna stack the deck with my haters, right? He probably gonna have Juan Boy.
Dude, if anything, I'm way more unpopular. If anything, I'm way more unpopular on that channel than you are. So there's no reason.
You're a part of Go Chase Kingdom, bro. And every time I'm up there,
they associate me with the Jordan Brigade, and there's nothing more hated on than that.
Okay, yeah. If I get Willie up there, maybe Willie or Herm.
Herm will be there, maybe, but Willie is Willie's the most biased guy of all.
But you guys aren't. B. Lee isn't.
B. Lee and Johnny aren't going to be judges. Trust.
King John just be slapping at me all the time. Like, he sees me in the chat, he just starts talking about the Knicks. Just he knows I'm going to click the link every time he does. So,
bro, have you won a debate yet?
I think. Well, I've only done 2, 3 officially, or the 4, right? No, 3. So the 2 against Travis and 1 against Sturdy, and I still haven't. I believe the early votes came in with me because they think that the early votes came in on the 86 Celtics side. I think they thought I did a good job of kind of explaining, because again, you know what I use? I use the expansion error argument that they got used. Funny, because I rail against the expansion error argument for Jordan's. Because at the end of the day, expansion or not, that team won 80 games a year for 3 straight years. And that right there is where I start my GOAT case for Jordan. That team won 248 games in 3 seasons versus 55. Well, no, I might be off. I think it's 243 versus 55 or something like that. But either way, that was 80 games a season. Nobody else has done that, not even the Warriors. 80 games for playoffs in regular season for 3 consecutive seasons. That's dominance that nobody has matched, and Jordan was the key to that.
Yeah. All right, guys. I'm gonna shut this thing down, but yeah. Thanks for coming up here, King's Speech. I'll check out your 86 96 debate later today.
All right, it's on there. It's up there. All right, guys.
Okay, check out King's Speech Rose channel if you're watching.
Yeah,
or watching
10 toes down. 10 toes down every Tuesday and Thursday night, 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific. And you guys in Hawaii, I think it's like 3:30 in the afternoon, right?
Oh yeah, it's 6 hours. It's 6 hours behind Eastern time. So.
Yeah, so it'll be 3:30. It will be 3:30. Sometimes I start a little later. So yeah. All right, guys. Salute. Have a good one.
Bye-bye. Got any last words for the people, Travis?
Yes, guys. We will have a slogan or catchphrase next time for sure. And it's on me to do it. I will 100%. I'll promise that. And yeah, I mean, hey, great bit as usual. And like I said, next time we're doing another team debate, which is he's 96 Bulls, right? 96 Bulls.
96 Bulls versus 86 Celtics.
Versus 01 Lakers.
Or excuse me, I'm sorry, 01 Lakers. Yeah.
Because but that'll be a great debate, and it'll be, I think, kind of the director that we are trying to go on, where we have the debates, and then eventually we can get up people so we can, Dart and I can eventually sometimes sit back and watch other people go at it. We can pass judgment. So that's it for me.
Yeah, thanks everyone who came by. You got Rex came by here for a while. 2000 Ravens, King's Speech Row. I don't think we had any bots in here.
Oh, it's been clean.
I like to thank the bots sometimes. Coming here and asking me to go buy a service from them. But yeah, no. Thank you all for coming by, checking us out, watching the debates. I'm gonna put a poll up, see who won the debate so far.
I think you're
won every debate. Yeah. But Travis is due for a win. Maybe he'll win on the team one.
I am due for a win. Apparently these polls don't have a man. You guys are savage.
Yeah. It's. I mean, I won the casual poll. On the sidebar with that, I went on his website, and I think I was still winning, but it was like neck and neck on his.
Oh yeah, you dominated that debate, like for sure.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
But, all right, yeah, but check us out next time at Lights Out Debates, where we don't have a slogan until hopefully next week when Travis will introduce it. And yeah, have a fantastic day. Oh, and then Travis, if you could just stay on the line for a second.
Yeah.